Now let's take a look at cracking WEP encryption using the AirCrack suite that is pre-installed in the BackTrack 4 Linux Live distro. The Linux Live distros, CDs or DVDs, can be booted from the CD or the DVD, load the operating system, and run everything entirely from memory. The idea is that they won't leave any trace that they've been run on the underlying OS that you're booting the BackTrack disk to. So the idea is the OS stays asleep, you can boot to BackTrack, run all your tools, shut the system down, and there's going to be no evidence that the tools were ever run from that box. Unless, of course, you tell BackTrack to commit changes to the disk, etc. Now, these can be installed as bootable partitions as well. And using BackTrack, it's a pretty good idea to get that installed on a hard drive. You're going to find yourself putting tools on, making configurations. There is a persistent mode for live CDs, etc., that can be used as well. But installing it in like a VM environment, pretty straightforward. You can actually download the turnkey BackTrack virtual machine if you just do a search on Google. All right, the card that I'm going to be using to attack wireless is an optional piece of equipment. It's not included in your courseware, and it is the Alpha AWS 036H adapter. So let's head out to Amazon, take a look. For about $35, you can pick up one of these cards. So again, it's the Alpha AWS 036H. All right, it is a 1 watt USB NIC. Not bad to get a watt of transmit power out of the USB bus. They've actually got another card they just released. It's a 2 watt version. However, it's a different chipset. So I'm still actually fumbling around with that a little bit. I don't have injection working on the card. The forums say that people have it working in like older versions of BackTrack, oddly enough. But for safety's sake, if you want to play it safe, get a card you know is going to work. The Alpha AWS 036H for this particular listing, $33.99. Not bad. All right, so you've got oftentimes you have a package deal as well with a wireless antenna, either directional or omni. These are usually just 7 or 9 dB antennas. All right. Now, let's attack some wireless. First thing I want to do is open a terminal and check for the presence of my wireless card. So I'm going to run an IW config, and I see that WLAN 0 is present. All right, now I also see that it's in managed mode. We've got to remedy that. Managed mode means that we're stuck with conventional visibility. We can only monitor and capture traffic on a wireless LAN that we're connected to. And even then, it's going to be only packets destined for the local interface because we'll be sniffing, traditionally in a non-promiscuous mode. So you're really kind of stuck by default with the same constraints you see on a wired Ethernet network. The ability to see your own traffic, and that's about it. So we're going to put this guy in monitor mode, and that's the kicker. That is the component that separates the Windows environment from the Linux environment. You have a lot more driver support for a lot more hardware to utilize monitor mode in the Linux environment than you do in the Windows environment. So we're going to turn this guy into monitor mode. We're going to do it in kind of a roundabout way. I'm going to do an ifconfig and bring the interface down. All right, the adapter's down. Now I also want to do a specific couple switches for the Airmon NG suite, and that's the check kill. It's going to check for any potentially conflicting processes and kill those for me. All right, killed the K-Network Manager and the DH client. So we are off and running. All right, I'm going to start the adapter under Airmon. And by doing so, it'll put it in monitor mode. WLAN 0. Now it's, whoops. There we go. All right, it's going to actually give me a virtual monitor interface. It'll be Mon 0. And it takes just a couple seconds for that to get completed. And we should get some good news any second now. There it is. Monitor mode enabled on Mon 0. Awesome. So I'm going to actually use a menu-driven interface. I'll be using the AirCrack suite, the AirCrack NG suite, which is a variety of different executables. But I'm going to be doing it all from within the Arrow script, which is present on most distros of BackTrack. Oddly enough, the final release of BackTrack version 4 doesn't include it. I'm actually using a beta version here that still has the Arrow script. So I'm going to run that, and I'm going to get a menu-driven interface that's just number selections to decide what I want to do. All right, Arrow script. All right, I'm going to select my specific resolution, although I don't really think that does anything in this particular case. All right, and select the interface, which is Mon 0, not WLAN 0, but Mon 0. All right, should I put it in monitor mode? Nope, it's already in monitor mode. All right, and here we are. All right, let's war drive. This is the methodology for attacking wireless networks. Number one, you want to scan. You want to scan on a hopping channels to get an idea of what there are out there for APs. Then you want to find an associated client. Most attacks, or most of the more reliable attacks, will use an associated client, and select and attack. So we're going to walk through the scanning, the selection, the attacking, and the cracking of a WEP-based network. All right, so I'm going to scan, number one. Oops, numlock. All right, and I'm going to do no filtration at this point. I'm kind of interested to see my ratio between WEP and WPA access points. So we'll go with no filter. And we're going to go channel hopping. All right, these results may vary. You may not experience the same 90-some access points that I can see from my location here in Atlanta. Okay, not bad. On a good day, I can see 90-something access points. I think the highest I ever counted was like 97. So not bad. I've also got a omnidirectional 14 dB gain omnidirectional antenna that is in the highest peak of my attic. And I've got heavy gauge low loss cable running all the way up to it and then down to a wall jack in my office. So I can connect any of my variety of different adapters to that one big beastly antenna. I've also got a parabolic up there that I'm still working on. I've got a antenna rotator from Radio Shack, and I'm going to mount it on that so I can be dialing and changing its orientation from my office. Pretty cool. All right, Eric, enough babbling. Let's attack WEP. All right, you can't attack WEP while you're hopping channels. So you need to pick a target and then concentrate on that one channel. So I'm going to go ahead and kill this with a Control-C. All right, and then I'm going to scan again, specifying specific channel, channel 6. All right, I'm also going to filter for WEP. Specific channel, channel 6. All right, now I do have permission from the owner of the target that we're going to be knocking over here. I've actually got two buddies in my neighborhood that have been gracious enough to offer up their wireless LANs for demonstration. So thank you to Wire 710, which there it is. Okay. 2-wire 710 is the SSID. Now, the 2-wire networks are default installations for AT&T's DSL. And oddly enough, the default WEP key for these installations is the home phone number of the account holder. Killing two birds with one stone. So we're going to knock this guy over. And actually, this is a very old phone number. Whatever account you've got at the time, that's the static WEP key. So this particular number has been actually, I think this is 2 numbers ago from my buddy. So it's not a current valid number. Don't try to call him if you do happen to catch the WEP key on the screen. All right, now, first thing I do is I look for associated clients for an AP. And initially, you have to figure out which AP they're associated with by looking at the BSSID or the MAC address of the wireless access point. So we see we've got a couple attached to 2-wire 710. Very nice. A couple things you want to note, too. If you've got a variety of targets that are possible, go with the best signal strength. You need to be able to hit the client to deauth him, And then from that point forward, you need to just be able to hit the actual AP to perform the injection. So anything above 90, I'd probably not even try it. It's been my experience, especially in the Windows environment, that that's going to be pretty much a vain effort. But anything below that, it's typically game on. So we've got a client here with 65, and then we've got 50 for the AP. So the planets are aligned for wireless attacking. We're going to take this guy down quick. All right, so I've got my target. I'm going to go ahead and break this operation again, and then I'm going to select it. All right, and there's 2 wire 710 all the way down at the bottom or near the bottom, option 7. All right, now do you want to select a client? Yes, I'm going to be using an associated client. I'm going to deauth him, and then I'm going to wait for him to reassociate, and in doing so, he should disclose the SSID and also ARP to the AP so I can capture the ARP packets. And since ARPs are just broadcasts, they're UDP packets, then we can just keep firing them back at the access point, and it will keep responding. This is going to drive up our collection of initialization vectors, and that's what we need to crack the key. All right, so I'm going to select the associated client, and we will select number 2. Sure, why not? All right, now we are teed up and ready to attack. So I'm going to attack with option 3, and we're going to do an ARP replay automatic attack. And there we go. I've got 3 panes. I've got Airmon, there's the station, and we should see down here pretty quickly an explosion of packets once we get an ARP request. Now, to kick that off, you sometimes just send a deauth, which I do by default. It's standard for me. So I'm going to do a deauth to kick the client off, and we'll see what happens. Now, it may take a couple minutes for this to catch. It may take a couple deauths to actually kill the client. And I've found that some clients will not be deauth. I've got a old Dell, it's that showstopper, if you guys remember the 20-inch Dell laptop. That thing will not get kicked off a network. You can deauth it all day long, and it will not even rattle it. It's pretty interesting. So I've got nothing so far. I'm going to deauth again. I'm going to deauth everybody. There we go. We are in business. We got 1 measly little ARP request, but that's enough to get us started. Now, here's what we got. Oh, we're going to have to restart it. We've got absolutely nothing. Occasionally, for whatever reason, you kick it off and your data counter will not start climbing. All right, that's your IV count. So you need that to climb. The numbers per second will be your injection rate. So I'm actually going to boot. Yeah, we're seeing the second, let me go ahead and kill this. Seeing the second instance of that MAC, that's me injecting. So let's attack again. And we're going to attack using our ARP replay again. All right. That's really odd. I'll tell you what. We're going to kick another client. Really haven't been able to figure out what the rhyme or reason is to that. The IVs just don't climb for whatever reason. So we're going to scan again. And this time we'll filter again. Specific channel 6 again. Shake the cobwebs out a little bit. There we go. E1. Let's knock it. All right, selecting. I love this stuff. Option 4. Associated clients. There we go. Now let's attack. ARP replay again, automatic. And we'll deauth them. Select clients. There we go. But our data counters still are not climbing. That is really odd, but actually fairly common, believe it or not. 201 data, that is just weak. So let's deauth everybody again. Should have picked up another client by now. Okay, we're climbing. Slowly but surely we're climbing. Okay, our injection rate here that's just weak. 35 per second, 139 per second. That's going to take a little while. Kane, on the other hand, in the Windows environment, will just rock the house. I've seen that inject 1,000 to 1,200 IVs per second. And oddly enough, where Windows usually falls short in the hardware category versus Linux, Windows just tears up the show on this one. So definitely not the norm, but Windows does seem to perform better on the injection. All right, we're going to be using the PTW attack, the actual implementation of the Coric attack and the original FMS attacks. But it takes at least 10,000 packets to crack the WEP key. So we're almost there. Let me correct that, 10,000 interesting IVs. We're almost there, but it takes 10,000 just to be possible. At 30,000, you have a 50-50 shot, and then it just gets better from there. So we're going to be actually trying to run the attack early on in the collection process because AirCrack will allow you to crack the key while you are injecting and collecting packets, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and just say crack, option number 4. And we'll do the AirCrack PTW attack. And we're going to wait. Wow. That is amazing. That's a new record for me, and we just caught it on demo tape. That's great. 12,939 IVs. That is amazing. There's the key. So not bad. Not bad at all. 12,939. I am shocked. That's definitely a good day. Set a new record for the fewest IVs captured to get the actual WEP key. And even our injection rate was a little bit slow. So that is cracking WEP using BackTrack.